Something that I've noticed and found interesting about the book of Numbers so far is how it keeps zooming in. We started off with a very broad look at the amount of individuals in Israel. Then we zoomed into the camping situation, which tribe was where they were camping, and the size of the tribes. Zooming in further, in the center of the camp, there's the tabernacle, and that's where we have the Levites. And now we're going to be looking at that at a higher level of clarity. Numbers 4 and 1. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, 4 and 2. Take a census of the Korathite division among the sons of Levi, by their families, by their fathers' houses. 4 and 3. From 30 years old and up to 50 years old, all who can enter the service to do the work in the tent of meeting. It's interesting to see that there is a restriction of the men being between the ages of 30 and 50. If they're under 30, they're probably too young and immature and may not be that good to have around. Yeah, they got the youth and the strength that comes with youth, but it may not be beneficial and could be quite troubling. We saw previously with Aaron's sons not taking their job seriously and being struck dead, so maybe starting at a higher age would be beneficial. And I mean, the brain, it doesn't really fully develop in the 20s either, right? Like, it takes a while for a person to truly hit their final phase of maturity. And then, of course, after 50 years old, the strength starts to wane, and some of these things become problematic as well. So there's a bit of a narrow gap here in the ages. That doesn't mean that people under 30 didn't have anything to do, or over 50 didn't have anything to do. They probably still had stuff to look after. But when it came to looking after the holy things, God was looking for people in this age range, the prime of their lives, I guess. Numbers 4:4. This shall be the responsibilities of the sons of Korath in the tent of meeting, the most holy things. We're going to see what the Korathites are going to be moving around when it comes to moving the tabernacle as they are on their journey. But the things of the tabernacle are so holy that they need to be prepared beforehand, before the Korathites can take them in hand to move them. Numbers 4 and 5. When the camp prepares to set forward, Aaron and his sons shall take down the veil, screening the Holy of Holies, and cover the ark of the testimony with it. 4 and 6. And shall put on the covering of dolphin or porpoise skin, and shall spread over that a cloth wholly of blue, and shall put in place the poles of the ark. So we're looking at Aaron and his sons preparing the tabernacle for transportation. They're inside the tent of meeting, and there's certain objects and items in it that other people cannot be exposed to. Even these individuals are people from the line of Korath. So they're taking down the veil, they're covering the ark with it. They have to take the poles out to put this covering on, then they put the poles back, because the poles are always supposed to be with the Ark of the Covenant, and that's what it's talking about there. So they put the screen over top of the Ark of the Covenant, and then they have an additional fabric layer that they're placing over top of that as an extra level of protection to prevent people from being destroyed by being exposed to the Ark of the Covenant. Numbers 4 and 7. And upon the table of showbread they shall spread a cloth of blue, and put on it the plates and dishes for incense, the bowls, the flagons for the drink offering, and also the continual showbread. 4 and 8. And they shall spread over them a cloth of scarlet, and put over that a covering of dolphin or porpoise skin, and put in place the poles for carrying. I don't know if this is in like a linear order that they do all these things in the particular order that they're written in here. I mean, there's a good possibility that's what it is. So we have the Ark of the Covenant that is covered now. It has this blue cloth on it, and blue has certain symbology to it. It's the symbol of heaven, the Holy Spirit, and the symbol of authority. And now they are covering the showbread table. On the showbread table, it looks like there's multiple layers. And I kind of wonder if this first layer here, this blue cloth, only covers a certain portion of it, just like the top of it kind of draped over top of the dishes and equipment or whatever that is used. And then we have this scarlet layer that's placed over top of that. This could be a method used for discernment to be able to tell the two objects apart. They might be similar sizes or something. I'm not entirely sure why. It's scarlet in color, which in the color theory of the Bible is a symbol of royalty, and it's also a color that's frequently used in the tabernacle. It's very close to red, and of course red is the color of atonement, salvation, and the blood. So there might be something there as well. Numbers 4 and 9. And they shall take a cloth of blue and cover the lampstand for the light and its lamps, its snuffers, its ashtrays, and all the oil vessels from which it is supplied. 4 and 10. And they shall put the lampstand and its utensils within a covering of dolphin or porpoise skin, and shall put it upon the frame for carrying. So now we're looking at the lampstand. It is being covered in the blue as well, and the items that go with the lampstand are covered as well. Then we see that there's this frame that it's going to be carried on. I don't remember when that was made, so maybe it's not special in the same way as some of these other items are inside the tabernacle. But it is covered and it is packed up nevertheless, and it is going to be moved and transported by the Korahites after it's prepared by Aaron and his sons, the priests. The thing to remember is that the priests come from the line of Levi, but not everyone who is in Levi is a priest. So there is restrictions that way. Numbers 4 and 11. And upon the gold incense altar they shall spread a cloth of blue and cover it with a covering of dolphin or porpoise skin, and shall put it in place its poles for carrying. So now we have the altar of incense, and it has 2 poles on it as well. So it is covered with the cloth, and then they are able to put the poles in it, and then it's able to be transported. Numbers 4 and 12. And they shall take all the utensils of the service with which they minister in the sanctuary, and put them in a cloth of blue, and cover them with a covering of dolphin or porpoise skin, and shall put them on the frame for carrying. We see that there is essentially 2 categories of items in the tabernacle. Those that have the ability to have poles put through them and carried, and those that don't, and they need to be carried in other ways. And we see here that some of the utensils and some of the tools that they're packed away in this blue cloth, and they're placed on the frame, and then they're transported. Numbers 4:13. And they shall take away the ashes from the altar of burnt offering, and spread a purple cloth over it. 4:14. And they shall put upon it all its vessels and utensils with which they minister there, the fire pans, the flesh hooks or forks, the shovels, the basins, and all the vessels and utensils of the altar. And they shall spread over it all a covering of dolphin or porpoise skin, and shall put in its poles for carrying. So now we are looking at the altar of burnt sacrifice. I don't know if this is to pack up the ashes and to take them with them, or if this is to clean it up, to get rid of the ashes, then to pack it up. And we have purple being used here as the covering cloth, which has a symbology of priesthood, kingship, royalty, mediator, and wealth. It's a very royal color. Numbers 4:15. When Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sanctuary and all its furniture, as the camp sets out after all that is done, but not before, the sons of Kohath shall come to carry them, but they shall not touch the holy things, lest they die. These are the things in the tent of meeting which the sons of Kohath are to carry. Everything needs to be prepared. Everything needs to be ready before the Kohathites can come in and do the heavy lifting, picking up these different objects and carrying them on the march, on the journey. If the Kohathites came in early and the stuff was not prepared, they could be struck dead, and that would be pretty bad. So it's better for the things to be prepared ahead of time so that that does not happen. Numbers 4:16. And Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, shall have charge of the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the continual cereal offering, and the anointing oil, with the oversight of all the tabernacle and all that is in it, of the sanctuary and its utensils. So we see that some things are so important that the priest needs to be the one to carry them. We see Eleazar here, son of Aaron, mentioned by name, that he is to carry some of these things. He has to carry the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, and some other stuff as well. He needs to carry those things. It's not something that can be delegated to the Kohathites, that the priest needs to be the one carrying these because they're important. Numbers 4:17. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron. 4:18. Since the tribe of the families of the Kohathites are only Levites and not priests, do not, by exposing them to the sin of touching the most holy things, cut them off from among the Levites. The responsibility here is being placed on the priests to look after the Kohathites, to prevent them from coming to harm, for they need to be responsible for these things. Because you could see a Kohathite person could just wander into the wrong location and boom, falls on the ground, drops dead, right? So the priests need to protect these Kohathites from these harms. They need to take the responsibility for them and intercede to prevent harm from befalling them. Numbers 4:19. But deal thus with them, that they may live and not die when they approach the most holy things. Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint them each to his work and to his burden, to be carried on the march. 4:20. But the Kohathites shall not go in to see the sanctuary, the holy place, and the Holy of Holies, or its holy things, even for an instant, lest they die. We have more details here on how the relationship is to be established, or how it is to work. How they explain to the Kohathites what they are doing. So they probably go to each individual. Okay, you're going to be carrying this, and this guy over here, he's going to join. He's going to be on the other end of that, right? They're given specific duties, specific jobs, and delegating everything exactly to what needs to be done. That there is no room for error, no room for mistake. This is the method to protect these people from the potential harm that could befall them. And we see that God is also giving a little bit of a warning here that, they're not allowed into the holy place or the Holy of Holies. That is straight up forbidden. So no matter what happens, they can't be doing that. So, plan your business accordingly, right? Numbers 4:21. And the Lord said to Moses. 4:22. Take a census of the sons of Gershon by their fathers' houses, by their families. 4:23. From 30 years old and up to 50 years old, you shall number them all who enter for service to do the work in the tent of meeting. 4:24. This is the service of the families of the Gershonites in service and in bearing burdens when on the march. So now we are looking at another division, another son of Levi and his family and the responsibilities that they're going to have. And we see that it has the same age range as previously, so that part's not different, but the responsibilities and the things they need to do are going to be different. Numbers 4:25. And they shall carry the curtains of the tabernacle and the tent of meeting, its covering, and the covering of dolphin or porpoise skin that is on top of it, and the hanging or screen for the door of the tent of meeting. 4:26. And the hanging of the court and the hanging or screen for the entrance of the gate of the court, which is around the tabernacle and the altar of burnt offering, and their cord and all the equipment for their service. Whatever needs to be done with them, they shall do. The tribe of Gershon, it may seem like they don't have to move that many objects, but what they have to move is very large. When you think of the length of these cloths and coverings, and probably the thickness of these different coverings and things, they're probably quite heavy. This is probably why it's devoted to this entire faction, because there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be moved. The Korathites, they had probably the more important things, but the Gershonites, they have a lot of stuff to move, and it is required for the tabernacle to be functional. So it is still very important, complementary, and important. Numbers 4:27. Under the direction of Aaron and his sons shall be all the service of the sons of the Gershonites. In all they have to carry, and in all they have to do. And you shall assign to their charge all that they are to carry on the march. 4:28. This is the service of the families of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meeting, and their work shall be under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the high priest. Previously, we saw Eleazar, son of Aaron, and he had all those important things he needed to carry, but he also was the one overseeing the Korathites. Now that we're on to another family, we are seeing that a different priest is placed over them, and we see here that it is Ithamar. We have a division of labor, we have a division of items to be moved, and we have separate overseers for different aspects. This leads to a higher level of efficiency and reduces the risk of injury and death. Numbers 4:29. As for the sons of Merari, you shall number them by their families and their fathers' houses. 4:23. From 30 years old and up to 50 years old, you shall number them, everyone who enters the service to do the work of the tent of meeting. So now we are looking at the third group, Merari, and all the things that they need to be carrying. And this is where the real heavy lifting comes. Gershon, they had a lot of heavy stuff, but it was more big and awkward. Folding up all that cloth and all the cord and all the ropes and strings and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's heavy and it's big. It's more awkward than it is heavy, but this is going to be the real heavy stuff. Numbers 4:31. And this is what they are assigned to carry and to guard on the march, according to all their service in the tent of meeting. The boards or frames of the tabernacle, and its bars, and its pillars, and its sockets or bases. 4:32. And the pillars of the court round about, with their sockets, or bases, and pegs, and cords, with all their equipment, and all their accessories for service. And you shall assign to them by name the articles which they are to carry on the march. 433. This is the work of the family of the sons of Merari, according to all their tasks, in the tent of meeting, under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the high priest. Moving the boards and the sockets, I'm sure, was tremendously heavy. The boards, they were pretty big, so they would be quite heavy, but the sockets, now, they're like made of solid metal, so there's a lot of weight there, and there's quite a few of them because it goes all the way around the perimeter, and each board needs its own socket. And there's some other ones that need more than one, so it would be very heavy. This is some real heavy lifting here. And we said Ithamar is also going to be the overseer here. And I think it's because he's just kind of looking after everything that's not inside the Holy of Holies, because that stuff's so important that it has its own dedicated priest for it. Whereas this other stuff, he's just kind of dividing up the labor. And it's just a lot of stuff to carry, a lot of stuff that's quite heavy. And that's just fine, because they're on a journey and they got to get to the promised land. Numbers 434. And Moses and Aaron and the leaders of the congregation numbered the sons of the Korathites by their families and their fathers' houses. 435. From 30 years old up to 50 years old, anyone who enters the service to do the work of the tent of meeting. 436. And those who were numbered of them by their families were 2,750. So now we're going to see the numbers of these different factions, different families here. And we see that the Korathites, 2,750. So that's a good, strong group of people to move the holy items. I would think with a group this size that they would be able to have a rotation, that people would carry for so long or so far, and then they would switch people out to continue on. Like, I don't know how far Israel's going to be going in any given day, about with women and children and animals. I mean, it's probably not a tremendous amount, but a lot of this stuff's probably quite heavy, so having lots of people would be beneficial, and they could rotate people out, keep the legs fresh, and they could continue on. Numbers 437. These were numbered of the families of the Korathites, all who did service in the tent of meeting, whom Moses and Aaron numbered according to the commandment of the Lord through Moses. 438. And those that were numbered of the sons of Gershon by their families and by their fathers' houses. 439. From 30 years old up to 50 years old, everyone who entered the service to do the work of the tent of meeting. 440. Those who were enrolled of them by their families, by their fathers' houses, were 2,630. So we have Gershon here at 2,630. So a little bit less than we saw with Korathah. Not a very big difference, not a significant difference, I don't think. So they need those people to do the work, and they have a lot of stuff to move, so it's probably a good thing. I don't know if you're to draw any crazy conclusion from this or not, but this is just kind of the history of what happened during the journey, how many people there were, how did they move, and all the rules and regulations about that. So it's just kind of history. Numbers 441. These were numbered of the families of the sons of Gershon, all who served in the tent of meeting, whom Moses and Aaron numbered as the Lord commanded. 442. And those numbered of the families of the sons of Merari by their families, by their fathers' houses. 443. from 30 years old up to 50 years old, everyone who entered into the service for work in the tent of meeting. For 44, even those who were numbered of them by their families were 3,200. It's quite a few more people here in the family of Merari, and they, I think, are carrying the heaviest stuff. So having that additional manpower was probably quite beneficial, for those things looked very heavy. Numbers. For 45, these are those who were numbered of the families of the sons of Merari, whom Moses and Aaron numbered according to the command of the Lord by Moses. For 46, all those who were numbered of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron and the leaders of Israel counted by their families and by their fathers' houses. For 47, from 30 years old up to 50 years old, everyone who could enter to do the work of service and of burden, bearing in the tent of meeting. For 48, those that were numbered of them were 8,580. So now we have the total population, 8,580. So almost 10,000, but not quite there. And they have a lot of work to do. This would not be an easy task. But it was important and it needed to be done. And I'm sure they were happy to do that. Maybe not necessarily everybody. And emotions probably changed as the journey went on. People change over time and during tough situations. So it was probably quite an event and quite a scenario, and this would probably be a very interesting perspective on the wilderness march. An individual from this particular grouping. Doesn't really matter which of the exact families, but I think it would be a very interesting perspective to have, nevertheless. Numbers. For 49, according to the command of the Lord, through Moses, they were assigned each to his work of serving and caring. Thus they were numbered by him, as the Lord commanded Moses. God has set up a system, God has put a system in place to ensure the functionality of the tabernacle, that it is moved and transported effectively, that it is taken down with certain cares and responsibilities to prevent any workplace accidents. And the same with setting it up. When they get to the location, setting up the tabernacle so that it can function properly. So it's well thought out, and it looks like there's a lot of people that are going to be employed by this, and they're going to be quite busy, I'm sure. And they're going to have this down pat by the time they escape from the wilderness wandering into the promised land.